сюда. Ну нет, не давай, не давай. Не давай. Чувствую. Вот это и есть то самое. Ну да, вот это и фото. Душ надо. Жить. Похлебка. Бог любимый сын. Вот это есть на самом деле экономно. Человека все да. Надо сейчас овощи. Уж точно не. Главное, чтобы рано радуешься, плохо уже поменяется. Плохо наоборот. Ну вас. Снится на нашей смеяться. Тем более ты такая, и что типа я больной, ты смеешься больным человеком, получается, ты издеваешься. Что-то я не больной, ну как бы да. Да нет, понял. Я поговор актера умею, ты не умеешь меня говорить просто правильно. Ладно. Видишь, такая штучка, это чпоза. Знаешь такую штучку чпоза? Ладно, нет, нет, здесь да. Особенности. Самое главное в жизни это что? А нет ничего, давай. Что скажешь? Глупость это все. Прожить ее не зря сразу. Понимаю, как знаешь. Ну как бы, а как? Кто как ведь понимает, да? Для себя, значит. по сути все равно для себя получится. Да. Да, в том числе. Да, в частности, ну я так тоже говорю. Ладно, все. Ладно, все. Сходчина. Ладно, где мы заказы тогда? Нет, природа. Очень вкусно. Нет. Хорошая, моя хорошая. Нельзя сказать. Ладно. Что? Когда сидит демократия. Мало. Сюда. Ладно. Так. Что тут у нас? Ну вот нет. Чесноки любви. Зачем ты брал? Нет, это мама, да. Воздуха не видно, и дым ногтей, где? Дым ногтей, дым ногтей. Я решил рассказал, хорошо летать будешь, что ли. Летать будешь, что ты сегодня. Ну нет, это бубарка. Бубарка. Чтобы не порчено было, борча. Больше с этой возьми, чем... Так. Ну да, видишь, штуки тоже надо было. Ну не обязательно. Вот это вот надо. Удалилось. Лаунчпад. Ильмиш. Слышу всех, слышу. Ой, не надо. Да нет. Что у нас еще на ОБН? ОБН. Времени ОБН. Очень было хорошо. Ладно. Обеденное утро не обеда. Алло, je veux. Ровнее. Ладно, все. Какая ситуация будет выигрышной, да, не безвыигрышном положении? выигрышей. 31 минут, в принципе, ничего так даже, да. 10:30. Поздно уже, да. Ну, чуть-чуть как-нибудь, как-то так. Ладно, разберемся. Я про зубы забыл. Да, видишь, как это странно выглядит, страшно даже. Это еще не такое бывает, говорят. Ну ладно. Это что, страшно, что ли? Страшно это, когда сердце от боли. Не надо сильно. Что там он придется? Нет, хорошо, ладно. Моя да? Сейчас. Губеев. Нет, наоборот. Надо поесть и ложиться спать, я думаю. Все, уж не надо. Зачем какой-то щак еще дорогой? Нет, не знаю такого. Не нужен тогда, не такой. Больше слов. Мы не всякие. Да, разные. Да, плохо играет тогда. А, это что ли? Все, уже час ночи. Скоро смеется надо ночью. Ну, либо выключение наш. Ну, более экономно. Учитывая все сейчас. Лабиринт. 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 Короче. Простите, господа коллайдеры. Опа. Ты сейчас будешь. Как будешь лететь. Очень вкусно, очень красиво. Красочно. Небольшой слойчик, небольшой. Ну что? Ну, понимаешь, короче, да. Слишком накладно уходит. Пока что. Ну все. Пока все. Пятница.
vibrato. The weekend from Germany. Let's see, we got Anne from Germany. Yeah. All kinds of people already up in here. So let me know where you are in the world. Also, if you don't mind, let's spread the word. Let's make
Суть. Можем продавать товары или услуги, а можем продавать бизнес целиком. И мир несправедлив.
We're talking pentatonics today. We've talked about this a little bit in the past on a few lessons, but I want to kind of come at it with a different approach, and we're going to get deep into fingering. So those of you that are not interested in fingering, tune out now. But look, we're pianists, and hopefully you'll stick around even if you thought you weren't interested in fingering, because I want to just sort of show you in terms of phrasing how important it is. I'm always getting questions about fingering, and I haven't done enough actual, giving you guys fingering. So we're going to be changing that coming up. We're working on a bunch of different technical exercises and fingerings from different scales that a lot of people aren't familiar with. But I wanted to start here on pentatonics because it's so useful for many of the things I know you guys are trying to do, stuff that we talk about in terms of executing bebop phrases, being able to play modal, just being able to sound good at the instrument, So better than kind of explain it to you, I kind of want to show you the end result of the usage of some of these ideas that we're going to go over today. So that kind of playing, and that's just over the C minor, which is primarily where we're going to start today. I don't want to overwhelm you guys. We're going to eventually be going through all the different keys, but for now we're going to look at this example, so I think it's the best place to stay. But you're going to be using this on a number of different chords. These really shapes their melodic little segments that we link together to be able to execute. So the fingering is so important because this is how we navigate moving up and down the instrument to be able to get the sound that we want. I mean, anybody can just move their hand around, but with a little bit of planning, and I'm hopefully going to be able to show you guys how you can do this without having to think about it when you're playing. So it's going to be mostly in our practice that we're going to do the planning. But the idea is that melodically with the right hand, we're going to be able to travel from the areas that are important for us to be able to make our melodic statements, tell our stories in a way that we can phrase and execute at any tempo that we can think and have the idea, right? So that was just a little flurry of ideas, and I'm incorporating several scales, but the pentatonic was sort of the foundation, which I think you can hear. So the first thing with this exercise, and of course you can download the worksheet, pentatonic exercises. I don't know, maybe by the time we get this up, I'll have a more creative name for it. But the idea from this is that we go level 1, level 2, level 3. You can kind of read along. But first and foremost, when when we do exercises, whether it's something that you're getting from me, or that we develop on our own, or that we take from something else that we know and extend upon it, it's very important that we think about the end result that we want, because we're not ever practicing exercises to be able to play exercises. No one's going to want to come to your gig and here you go. And run up and down a pentatonic scale. It's just, that's music. This is just the weightlifting. This is just the repetition, the reps and steps that we do to be able to play parts of this as we go. But we do want to think about like what we're going to actually be doing with this. So as I develop these exercises, I was thinking about, okay, this is really for... So the first thing I'm thinking about is range, okay? And that's why I started this right here, C below middle C, because we're right here in the tenor range, which is a great place for us to solo. And a lot of times we don't do it enough. So, like, we're always thinking, you know, kind of C, middle C, and above for the right hand. And that's a great area, but this, I love soloing down here. So you got to think about this. In order to play in that range, you don't want to have to think about it. You want to start getting the sound of what it sounds like when you are playing and your hand is physically in that position. It's kind of a tricky concept to understand, but in other words, whatever we're repeating when we're practicing is going to be something that we can draw upon once we get to the bandstand without having to think about it. Okay? So in other words, if you want to start soloing more in the tenor range, you got to practice in the tenor range. That's just sort of the way it goes. So the other thing is, I always think these exercises and scales, people don't do them in enough octaves. I kind of compromise a little. I see a lot of 1 octave, 2 octaves. This is a big instrument. We got a lot available to us. I always learned, I learned just had a flashback to when I was young, learning all my scales. My teacher, a wonderful teacher, Jane Allen, who every scale, every arpeggio had to be 4 octaves, always, minimum, but definitely 4 octaves. So I always had that in my mind. So to me, it's always funny when I hear 2 octaves. Do we really just want to learn to play in that range of the instrument? It's so easy for us to think about. Well, we're just repeating it and going up. But the thing is, your hand, your body position, everything, and especially how the instrument sounds in those different ranges, and your interaction and reaction to that is violently different in the different octaves. So we have to think about, where do we want to be soloing? I mean, yeah, of course, we want to have the option of playing with the right hand down here and up here, but the bulk of the majority, both players are just playing in here, and that's all they practice with scales. So I'm going to have you extend a little bit to 3 octaves, starting in the C below middle C. And what I want is your hand, your body position, everything, and especially how the instrument sounds in those different ranges, and your interaction and reaction to that is violently different in the different octaves. So we have to think about, where do we want to be soloing? I mean, yeah, of course, we want to have the option of playing with the right hand down here and up here, but the bulk of the majority, both players are just playing in here, and that's all they practice with scales. So I'm going to have you extend a little bit to 3 octaves, starting at the C below middle C. And what I wanted to do was to come up with some exercises that had something to do with music and phrasing from the very beginning. The simplest way to practice the pentatonic exercise, a pentatonic scale, and look, that had something to do with music and phrasing from the very beginning. The simplest way to practice the pentatonic exercise, a pentatonic scale, and look, we're in the key of E flat here or C minor. You can think about it either way, but the idea is that, if you just go up and then come down, that's fine. Most of you know that, and you can kind of figure that out on your own. Most there's a lot of guys. This is really about starting to connect, the direction, and a little bit of music, and a little bit of phrasing, hand positioning, accents, all the different things that we want to bring out in our playing, kind of from the beginning of doing this exercise. So we've got. So this is level 1. Level 1A. eighth notes, you're going to see level 1A, level 1B, level 1C. These are all the same notes, just with different rhythms. Very important for phrasing, though. We'll get to that. The idea of this one is we're going up, and we're going to talk about fingering, don't worry. For those of you that don't like fingering, worry. But we're going to go up a straight pentatonic scale, 3 octaves. And then instead of just coming down, we're going to skip a note, and then go up, skip a note, go up. It's almost like you're walking down 2 stairs, up 1, down 2. And this is important because you can almost play this exercise like that as the foundation for actual lines. It's certainly taking segments out of it. And I always think like with pentatonics, like when you go up or you go down and you turn around, no matter how complicated it is, you can almost play this exercise like that as the foundation for actual lines. It's certainly taking segments out of this. And I always think like with pentatonics, like when you go up or you go down and you turn around, no matter how complicated it is, like those turns and stuff, that's sort of where the magic is. So that starts to build in a little bit of this. So instead of, which is fine, but so all 3 of these levels, level 1, level 2, and level 3 of how we practice, level 1 and 2 with the 3 different ways, rhythms that we practice with level 1 and 2 are really about, you know, how do we turn? And then level 2 just is a little different way of turning, and it's a different shape coming down. Now let's talk about fingering, okay? Because I saw some whack stuff online about somebody talking about, you know, just use 3 fingers, and I can't stand stuff like that because it gets your hand out of position. You know, in practicing this stuff, we have to develop. I mean, who wants to play with 6 fingers instead of 10? What a disadvantage, right? How do we develop the strength, the independence, the ability to phrase with the 4th and 5th fingers if we're not playing them, especially when we're working on a scale? I mean, it's like, you know, I guess you could play a major scale with just 3 fingers, or just 2. That's pretty hard. But the idea is like, we want to have maximum flexibility in the hand positioning as we move around the instrument. And the more fingers that we use, the better. Now, we do want to keep in mind, and I think I did, I really wrestled with these because I've never put these down for these exact shapes, but I had a couple different variables, but I think I got to the ones that make the most sense for most people. And so we're mainly using, going up, we're mainly using 1, 2, 3 with a little bit of 4. But the whole thing about this is like we can use the 4th finger more effectively when we're coming down and turning to set up, and the 5th finger as well, to set up our position as we move across the piano. Okay, so there's not a lot of different choices.
Он говорит, можно одним пальцем играть соло, но то у тебя такой бенд будет, что будет гитару попало там. Одним пальцем вместе с кулачиной двигать. Вот так он, да, я понял, что да. Фортепиано можно тоже, наверное, так. Как-нибудь типа того. 2 пальцами играть. Да. У тебя такой саунд зато будет вообще просто. Ладно, забудь. Да, нельзя.
So that's kind of what it is. When we get to the top, we're at 4, and then I'm trying to
Это так понятно. Что если?
Or 5, but
не пожалей потом, да. Ну, не пожалей, а лучше и так все.
So that we can keep, you know, our wrists from having to go in and out, up and down. So we're doing that shape, but we're still moving just like, right? So 1, 2, comfortable because we're able to use, 4 out of the 5 instead of just
Да,
3
получается.
or much and going up.
Ну, что ты боишься еще поставить? Акцент не там находится.
But you always know, and look, you can totally vary from these fingers, and you should. If it doesn't feel right to you, you can't execute. But the idea of knowing the right fingering for you is about that wrist moving evenly. Like if you're doing a lot of that, there's probably something wrong with the fingering. Okay, so a lot of slow practice. And so you see, if I use 3 there instead of 4, I wouldn't be set up to finish that off. And that's the same thing at a bunch of the places. That's why all the 4s are where they are. Okay, let's move on to 1B because this starts to make some more sense for the phrasing. We're going to triplets. Same succession of notes for triplets. So it's 1, down, 3, 4. Again. Okay? Now, jumping forward a little bit, this is so important when you got the 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. That kind of sound, where we're combining it with the 8th note, with the triplets, or maybe. So it's the same kind of. No matter what I'm mixing it up with, same thing with that wrist. I've trained to have that wrist, no unnecessary movements, control, be able to do it. Okay, so whether I'm at the 8th note triplet, or like what we're about to do with the 16th note, we have that control, we have the feel for those shapes, and how the notes slide differently depending upon the rhythm.
Что-то принадлежит.
Okay? So that's level 1.
Нет,
Let's
про
do
себя
level 1C.
принадлежит.
I think
Про
you
себя
guys will get
принадлежит
this.
себе.
You don't need to hear me practice it, so I'm gonna move a little faster. 1, 2, 3, 1,
Я
C.
вот МЦУ, видишь? Я тоже не думал, что в МЦУ такие бывают, если такие не думал. Шлигаруез, Су-4 дём, МЦУ они.
Now these are set up A, B, C so that if you start the same tempo, the same quarter note, wherever you want to start, you should always start on the slower side for sure. That you have a natural progression through the different rhythms and the triplets and the 16s, but also to being able to execute these shapes a little bit quicker as you go. So in other words, if you start here,
От чего?
with 1A, this is a great way to practice on. Young C. Then you go on to the next key. Or whatever, or you can stick with the same key and do level 2. So that's kind of the idea. But I mean, these are really useful. They're very useful, great to get into your hand. Let's go level 2 now. We're at level 1, we're going to go level 2, A, B, and C. Ready? Same thing going up. Looking at the fingerings is really hard for me. So I got in as much 5 now as I could.
Могу попробовать, если просто так. Мозга-то нет. Так можешь играть, не так.
I wanted to really show how we use these, how we can use all different fingers, jump into a little bit more interesting shape already coming down. Same thing going up, we're going up straight, pentatonic scale, then coming down. We're skipping a note, we're going back up, skipping a note, and then we're coming down one, skipping one, up, skipping a note, skip one, coming down, right? Okay? Right? So this again is one that we're really going to use in different situations. Fragments. I'm using this all the time. That was level one. Coming down. And then level two. Okay? So the same thing, we're going to take it through different rhythms.
Ого, это час ночи, час ночи.
So that we see how the notes fall differently, get us into some situations that we're going to actually use. Level 2B. 1, 2, 3. Oops. 1, 2, level 2B. Numbers. This brings up a really good point. I have a lot of difficulty reading these, even though I know these and use them and have been playing them a lot. And so for some of you, you might want to just sort of get the concept. That's why I explained it first. When you get to the top, we skip one note coming down, then we go back up, and this is where we really start. So I mean, you can find where the beat is, but it's easier, I think, just to think conceptually. Like I think about that shape and how it moves through the pentatonic scale. It's a pattern, right? And this is one way of looking at it. 4 notes. 2 together diatonically within the pentatonic scale.
Когда уже научишься что-нибудь, да? Ну, когда уже, да. Нет. После 2 да. Нет, ну нет, наоборот, нет, наоборот, 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 нет, наоборот. Ну, да, 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 наоборот. Да, наоборот, да, наоборот. Да, наоборот.
Make sure I'm doing this right. And then we skip 1 note, go back up. Same pattern. 2, skipping 1 note, and 2. I hope that makes sense. To me, that makes more sense than reading it. If it doesn't make sense, don't worry, you can just read it, but... So this is the pattern, 4 notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're skipping 1 note in the middle. So that 4-note pattern is missing 1 note in the middle. We have 1 skip. And then we skip over 1 note to start the same pattern again. Right? And then we do the same thing. That's that 4-note pattern with the middle note skip. Same thing again. Skip 1 note, go back up, and then come down. Skip 1 note, same pattern. Let me make sure that lines up with what I put here. Yep, that's what it is. The hardest part about this for me, maybe some of you can conceptualize it both ways, is seeing it written, especially with the fingerings and stuff, and then hearing it and kind of knowing what these patterns are. I do that both ways, because it doesn't matter how you get there. You just have to start playing and getting them in your hands, getting the sound in your ears, and making those connections however you can, visually, conceptually. It's all good. That's 2B. Now we're going to go 2C. 16th notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. So what you'll start to see, I'm sorry, I'm kind of jumping ahead in the other keys. I didn't want to give you all that this time just because it's a lot in 1 week when you start going through all the keys. Eventually I'm going to have everything figured out for all the keys for those of you that want to do it. Okay? Now, let's talk a little bit about fingering, because I have the same basic fingering for all 3, level 1 A, B, C, and then all 3 of the level 2 A, B, and C, just a little bit varied based upon the rhythm. But let's look at level 2A. So we got the same finger going up. Now we have our shapes. So I got my first 5. That one's important. I think, yeah, you could play 4, but I like this because 5 gets us even more in position to go down. We're going up, but we're about to go down. Right? And then we're going 4 because if we go 5, we really need to go 4, which wouldn't be the end of the world, but I just think this is a really good place to turn. We want to think about, some people play these without ever going 2 over 1. And I think it's important to be able to do that so that you can reset as you're moving from the white keys to the black keys. So we've got 1, 2, set up with the 4, 1, 2, 1, 2, 2, 1, because we want black key, white key there. And then here's that 5 again, our next opportunity. That's a great shape there. As opposed to that, look how much I gotta move my wrist if I go 4 there. So a lot of you are going to avoid the 5, and I can do that too, but, wait, did I have another 5? Oh yeah, that one. Because, a lot of times, that's going to be like a place where you need a little bit of a punch, and a lot of you feel like your 5 isn't strong. So you're naturally, when you play, not going to go to it when you have to execute something that you want to phrase, accent, start or stop, or give some sort of accentuation to that note. But if you do this when you practice yourself into something uncomfortable, remember, fingering is not about the comfort level when you first learn it. So if you play these with my fingers and you're like, it don't work for me, I'm going to go and make my own, that's fine, but give them a chance first. Any kind of fingering. Because if your 5th finger is weak, like a lot, I know, all of our 5th fingers are weak to a degree, but if you haven't been working on the 4 and the 5 a lot, and you've got some weakness there, it's going to feel uncomfortable. But that doesn't mean that you can't give it a chance. Because if you do and you build it up, your fifth finger will start to feel better, and then you won't have these problems with the wrist, and you have more flexibility. And I really believe that a lot of the dexterity stuff the pianists, they can play fast and most importantly execute phrasing the way that they want to. When they're playing fast, kind of what we would think of as dexterity, comes from the ability to, as much as possible, kind of all of the fingers, so that you just have more options and that you don't have to do as many hand positions. It all kind of works together. So. And then I love this, what it does differently to how you have to phrase it when you go to the triplets. Ah. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? And then 16th notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. A little faster than I meant to. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to put an accent at the end of all these ones that are on the ups, because I think that kind of helps you line up your phrasing with that as well. So there you go, pentatonic exercise. I will dive deeper into this. If you guys could let me know in the comments below if you like this kind of thing. I know when I've done some real sort of technical and fingering stuff in the past, I think a lot of folks were a little bit like, get back to the tunes and stuff. But I guarantee you, if you want to be able to play, this kind of stuff. That's all. This is all that kind of stuff. I mean, I know I got a lot of chromatics and some scalar stuff in the.
Беседы прекращаем. Вот нет, ну да. Вот пока. Вот смотрите. И все.